My name's Angela Zaranandia, and I'm a film student.
My name is Alan Graham Law, and I'm a cinema student at San Francisco State. We are going to Huizhou for 3 weeks.
The first week is mainly research. I believe we're going to 12 different locations.
We travel into a small village in Huizhou, kind of meet the people who live there and check out the landscape and stuff like that, and kind of decide what we want to film this documentary about.
Pretty good.
Oh, yeah? Actually, this is a case. It's a very nice way.
I've never been outside.
I'm enjoying it, and I'm soaking wet.
下就是我们家族罗盘制作的地方。
这个礼拜五。Oh, yeah. I was thinking.
If this looks good, oh, I don't want that shot in there anymore. Or like, oh, I think we need more here.
You can't replicate it.
Like tearing families apart, and
We're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, men's more ones who hold the secret.
I like trying to some like stereotypes every day, or like foreigners come in, they are so used to like seeing.
No, I think title, usually title I would.
Lifting up the opera? Yeah, okay.
yeah, it doesn't use PR.
Beyond what is controlled.
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask him, what happens if you have another girl?
I'm going to be co-writing, co-editing on this documentary. As the only female member of this crew, I kind of want to contribute as much as possible. I think these guys are really open to me and having a, female kind of mindset. The whole cultural revolution thing.
Because then you can juxtapose that with the people who aren't getting it passed down to, which are the women. I'm Wyatt Ehrman. I'm going to be the producer and co-director on this documentary. For our project, we want to focus on the patriarchal society and like the passing down of trades through the past few generations and how it's been done. We're looking at 3 different subjects. We have Wantong Wang, as we're calling him, Mr. Wang. He is open to sharing his craft with anyone who wants to learn it. We have Li Yan, who is the medicine man's daughter, Mr. Li's daughter. Her herself isn't actually going to get the title that her father has when he passes on. One of her brothers will assume that title, and we want to really ask her, like, does she think that's because she's a woman, or is it just because he's the oldest, or kind of more probing into those things, like what is the reason why she's not getting it. And then we met the compass maker, Mr. Wu, and who has only had one daughter, and traditionally through the 8 generations of compass makers who have passed it on before, they've only passed it on to men. And we want to ask him that if he doesn't have a son, is he willing to pass it on to his daughter, or will he look for a male heir to take that?
For the compass men, there's specifically a secret that he teaches. So my name is Joe Barnett. I'm going to assume the role of a co-director with my friend Wyatt. I also am going to be writing a lot of the questions that we're going to be asking the people we want to interview. We've done a whole week of just jam-packed visiting and touring around China, and it's really fun to finally be able to put all those ideas into a movie, and this is the reason why we came.
Our main question in this documentary is really asking, is it important that the skills are passed down to men because they can carry on the name, or is it more important that these skills continue to live on with the family and the blood of it rather than the name of it? You guys keep talking about
For a lot, it's been a rule. My name's Brian Baker. On this project, if we get picked, I will be assuming the role of director of photography, which means I'll be in charge of the visuals, getting the shots we need, and coverage.
I know me and Brian kind of shared similar ideas before we even knew what we were getting into. We kind of wanted to take a similar route, and Joe and Wyatt have worked together multiple times, and we all just kind of click, and I think it's a good group.
Watches and your father taught you.
Do they feel an obligation to do it just because of the family, or
Right.
Not having a sibling is almost as if you're having a freedom taken away from you.
When are we going to present important information? Our story is a generation of kids who are being raised by their grandparents. We learned that this is a pretty common thing in China.
36% of Chinese people feel that grandparents raising grandchildren is completely normal.
It's a story that is happening globally right now. It's, you know, whether it's Mexico, whether it's Africa, whether it's Asia, no matter what, people have to work, people have to make money, people have to support their families. And the only way they do that is by going where the work is.
And what we set out to explore and discover is how this affects young kids.
It's like the world is really small.
Right.
And if something was to happen, it'd be heartbreaking. And that's an interesting thing we want to focus on is how these young kids are learning from the grandparents and how their wisdom is being channeled down through the generations, even though there's a gap because they're missing their parents, and how that affects the kid, the child, and how that's going to affect the future generations, not now, but in 20, 40 years. Filmmaking is a whole apparatus, and not only as the film itself, from editing, from camera work, from direction, but as a team. And every voice needs to be heard, and children's voices need to be heard just as much. With that, we hope to represent them, as I said, as truthfully as possible. I hope the audiences fall in love with the personalities and the identities they get to perceive on screen, and that we get to bring home to them.
So you use some articles, we can actually put it in there if we want, but what I was thinking is literally showing advertisements around.
If we can really show that this has meaning and this is urgent, this is some story that needs to be told. Hi, my name's Maddie, and I'm going to be the director and writer of this production. I'm really excited about this film because it analyzes kind of what it means to be foreign when you travel overseas and the effects from the local people and how they receive you.
I mean, technically, I wasn't born in America either, and none of you guys, so I think that's why they would be a much more specific. Hi, I'm Lyndon. I'm the writer / DP for this. Excited for our project because this is initially what I wanted to do coming here. So I'm really glad we're able to hash it out.
Let's take a photo, oh my god.
Hi, I'm Layla Blakely, and I'm going to be an editor for the production. I'm very excited because editing is like my strongest suit, so.
Your racism overnight, but you better.
My name is Jeremy Corral. I'll be doing sound for our little group production. I naturally play well with my ear instead of visuals, so like this is really something that I'm really gonna put all my effort into, and I can't wait to see what we come up with.
My name is Danny. I'm doing the production here in this film. So our film is basically on how foreigners is treated by the local people here and how their experience regard their trip overseas.
This morning we basically finished up our research papers. We were just reading articles about our subject, trying to figure out like what kind of story we want to tell, and today is basically our last day of pre-production. So tomorrow we're going to start planning out our shoot and just scheduling everything, our locations, our subjects who we're going to be interviewing, and I'm really excited because it's going to be really fun. A little stressful, but that's film. I have a task cam, she has a task cam, and I have 2 lavs.
Yeah, which is good.
And a mic.
I'm Jared, Lay, and Sean, and it'll be a 10 to 12 minute participatory documentary with observational elements involved in it. So to contextualize the project, our goal is to draw a comparison with Wang, the wonton man, and Elizabeth, the coffee shop startup owner. With these two subjects, we will highlight Eastern culture and how food in that culture brings community and family together, and what that means with tradition versus modernism, and how you can maintain your tradition while trying to sustain a living. We will create a greater empathy in America for the Chinese people, and hopefully vice versa, through this understanding of their hardships and these individuals.
Cool. Just take in the music. Take in every single, no, close your eyes. Every single tone, every single ounce of sound, and feel it. Picture the musician plucking the strings, and every single thought, every single fiber of their being poured into every note. Now picture every single piece of energy that it costed them to make this music. The hours of practice, the peeling skin on their fingers and the rusty calluses that result. And the immense joy that comes from getting the song right for the first time. Every single part of that, picture it now as you open your eyes. That is art. That is music. That is the artist made absolutely bare before your ears. I really can't get it anywhere else, you know. So I want to make a movie where any of us, regardless of our backgrounds and personalities, can look at this screen and say, I know what that person's going through. So in my movie, that person that we know is going through is Liu, the woman who sought that joy, pursued it, found it. I want this film to explore her thoughts on what it means to be an artist in China. This will be a character study that beckons audiences of all ages to see what it means to find joy in art.
We didn't know what we were going to be shooting until just yesterday. So we were touring, getting all this research and visiting all these places, but proposals were due one day and we got our assignments the same day. We split into groups that same day, and then here we are shooting the next day. There's challenges, but these are challenges that I am more than welcome to accept.
Our topic is about how food in Chinese culture brings community and families together.
Our story is about comparing two different businesses here in Huangshan, one of which is more of like a modern approach, a coffee shop from like a young woman, which is her like childhood dream, and the other one is Wang, the wonton man, who is trying to keep this tradition alive. Our approach is to spend 2 days with each of them and observe what they're doing, how their day looks like, how they treat their employees, what they do every day, how they run their business, essentially.
Our goal was to start at 7 in the morning, but we fell a little behind schedule. I just wanted this more self-contained. I don't know how to work that. We started out interviewing Wang,
the owner of the wonton establishment.
He talked about his family history and how he started the business.
He's a cool dude. He's got this hat, he's got this cool mustache. We saw him, carrying his cart around the other day, and that was really cool. He put on a little performance and such. It's not something I've ever seen back in the US, so to be here and to witness it is really neat.
We're going to be coming back here tomorrow, I believe, to pick up more for the B-roll and to see more of the kitchen. And then I know we're visiting Elizabeth on the weekend.
I am Chinese and Irish Italian. It's very, very special to be here. I think that's why I find myself with a higher motivation to learn the language than a lot of my classmates. To be here with a lot of other aspiring filmmakers, it gives me a lot of not just knowledge, but different perspectives of filmmaking and style of filmmaking that I wouldn't have gotten if I came here with anyone else.
I'm realizing now how I misjudged China as a whole as like a communist place or whatnot, instead of like realizing how incredible the people are that make this country what it is essentially, and like how poetic the language is, how much meaning there is behind. So I'm in love with it.
So I'd say today we were really excited just to keep on with production. Yesterday, the interviews we did, it kind of changed the way our story is going. The themes are changing. We're starting to find out some things that we wouldn't have been able to find out by just doing research. It's just really exciting to see how it's evolving right now.
So now we're kind of focusing on how tradition is kind of affecting the businesses and the culture for these people. When we got to the Compass Museum, we met Mr. Wu, and he was in the middle of doing some feng shui. So we watched him do it, and we got to see kind of his process.
We're interested in this particular person because of the rich history that his family has with the compass. So some of the questions that we're asking him is, how long has this been in your business and how many generations, and certain secrets that has been passed down, and what are their secrets? He couldn't tell us what the secrets were, but we're asking about them and what exactly is being passed down to generation, and then what's going to happen for the next generation after him.
The big question he didn't feel comfortable answering today was if his daughter was willing to take over the business later on. She's very young, and we've kind of started to find out more and more that Chinese people don't like to talk about their children, especially on camera. It was a sensitive subject. We knew that coming in though, so we did have other questions prepared just in case we weren't able to do it.
Danny is a superstar on our team. She's able to do everything, she's producing, she's helping write questions, she's translating for us.
I lived in China for 17 years, so I have some of the Chinese experience, I guess, and Chinese culture background. That's why I do the translation part, and I also do research for them.
One thing I've learned is it's way easier when you know the language when shooting the documentary, just for building rapport with people.
What I learned new was a certain way that the needles get magnetized for the compass has to do with a meteor, and the secret that's being passed down is some placement with the needle in the meteor. And so we didn't get to know what that secret is, but it's really intriguing about, he is the only person who's still doing this and knows the secrets, and this is the only place where you could get a handcrafted compass in China.
The compass itself has become almost obsolete, and the reason he does it is to keep up this tradition, so it's really admirable what he does.
Some of the things that he explained to us is kind of shaping what our documentary is going to be about, so we kind of had to adapt to what he's saying. So it's actually making it a little bit more interesting to us because we're learning as we're learning about him, and it's also intriguing.
We got a lot of great answers. We learned a lot today about feng shui and a lot of just things that I wouldn't have really known about otherwise, and I really think it's going to play into how we're going to structure our edit in the coming days. So I'm really excited to see what happens next. Tomorrow's Wantong Wong, so we get to interview him. He's going to be one of our easiest subjects, we think, to interview because he's very open. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Last couple days have been absolutely amazing.
First day we got to Fuling and we had a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah, we toured the school, we interviewed with the principal, and then we met with the local Huizhou opera master.
I think 4 or 5 kids that were practicing with him were all raised by their grandparents. We kind of felt we got really lucky with that one.
We found our 2 subjects, 2 young female students, one in 4th grade, one in 5th grade. They happen to be best friends. They happen to both be in Huizhou Opera. They both happen to be local leaders on their own level in the 4th and 5th grade.
And we got approval from the government, and we got approval from the principal. It's like someone smiling down upon us, right? We're on this shoot.
This whole process, it's been about timing and our approach and being easygoing. You know, we don't want to press too much. We don't want to force anything.
Flexibility is the key to this. You have to remain flexible. If you have this idea and if you're stuck there, you're not going to get what you need.
Yesterday we followed their grandma. She works at the cafeteria with her husband. Turns out that the grandma is also a farmer, so we followed her in the fields and got to see her working.
And we met with the opera teacher again today.
He toured us around and gave us a demonstration showing his own talents and his own knowledge in the arts.
And we're privileged to film the kids while they were in class, which was a lot of fun.
It's just been a very spiritual experience for me, connecting with the culture, connecting with the people that I'm working with, and just connecting with the story that needs to be told.
It's definitely a privilege to be able to film them, but at the same time, it's even more of a privilege to be able to just follow them, even without the cameras. So sometimes I wish I could step back, but then I know I wouldn't be getting the footage we need to tell this story.
Brian and I have been working together very well under Graham's direction and being produced, and with the assistant director, Ernesto, or Ernie.
I hope to take these lessons back to America and spread them, and spread the word, you know, and tell my friends about it and tell my fellow comrades about, you know, this experience and how it can change you if you allow it to change you in a good way.
We have 2 more days, and I think they're going to be the most important days. This is where we're really going to focus on the children and their perspective, which is really like the antithesis of the whole film. The next 2 days, hopefully we're going to get exactly what we need.
So far, photography is going great. The weather's been wonderful. We got overcast skies with clouds moving in, making for some beautiful shots. I couldn't be happier with our crew, with our subjects, with the family, and with the village. So far, everything's pretty beautiful.
At first, I had a group and we pitched a story and we got rejected. It happens in film, happens a lot. I've been rejected many times, but we joined another group and it was going good.
We met with Wenqian, which we didn't shoot at all. It was just a conversation.
We wanted to focus more on her arts and her playing the instruments. But she told us in the meet and greet that she didn't really do that anymore.
The original idea had to be transformed.
Wenqian, she said in order to gain something, we have to lose something as well. I think that means a lot. And it's just about not thinking that we've lost something necessarily, but it's a change.
Just filmmaking in general, you have to be flexible with anything. Even if you have a scripted film, even if it's fiction, you have to be able to make changes, and to be able to adapt is one of the biggest keys to being a filmmaker.
It changed more from a poetic character study to a more expository and observational tone.
So we had shifted gears and basically just focused on her tea and how she got the tea, or just her daily tea work life kind of thing.
Because we no longer went with the story that I originally had in mind, we restructured, and I stepped back as producer, and Maddie is now the director-writer.
Our original director, he stepped down and he was so very genuine, didn't want to cause any conflict or anything, so I ended up writing a new treatment, writing, a new format for what we were going to be doing, so yeah, so now I'm writing and directing. Cameras, speed, okay, and action.
Currently, we have a great team. The restructuring made much more sense to how we're working right now.
Yesterday, me and Jared stayed here while we shot B-roll, and then some of the other team went to the mountains.
Today was our formal interview with her. We're kind of having a bit of a rough patch since there are some things that our subject was tentative in terms of talking about on camera that she discussed during our personal conversation session.
The last couple of days have been turbulent, to say the least, but things have picked up in a weird way. We're not quite sure where things are going at the rate that we would like, but we do have a story that we're going to continue with.
I guess the heart of the whole thing is basically about her family and how she feels running the tea business instead of her brother, who's abroad doing his own thing. So it's a pretty interesting story. And she's very selfless, which I really love.
Right now our plan is to get some answers from the mother, tomorrow potentially the father. We'll see what happens. Hopefully that'll provide us sort of a rounder perspective.
It's been really great because we had a really late start because we had to change our dynamic in our crew, and also we had to come up with the new story. We were behind on production, but what we did was, instead of just kind of rushing into shooting, we actually spent the past couple of days just talking off the record with our subject and getting to know her. And just being able to actually understand her point of view and be able to really give her her voice.
Personally, I think the editing has been the most stressful part about this project, even though it's been very interesting and a teaching experience.
We've had a slow process trying to
keep up with translating.
We don't understand a word they're saying when we first get the video, so we can't actually cut it, which is new to all of us.
So you just basically tell me the sentence, when it starts and when it stops first.
Editing's never really a good time, especially with this much footage. It's just a lot. Because we had 3 cameras rolling for 6 days. We got a lot of footage. We've been through it all. We've marked what we like. It would be nice to get some more personal shots rather than just a business setting, but we did go at 6 in the morning to film Wang do Tai Chi, and so that's going to add a lot.
Right now, we finished a rough cut of it, so we have about 8 or 9 minutes.
The beginning and end will be more stylized just because we have more creative freedom with it. But when they're telling their story, it's their story, and we're there to document a reality. And it wouldn't really have the same effect if we didn't show that in a very real way.
All right, tell me when it's out.
We are on a pretty tight schedule right now, so we're trying to get all the translations done as soon as possible, like as captions. And then we're gonna start with the final cut and the color correcting and sound editing. That's where our focus lies right now.
But otherwise you move the whole layer.
I started editing day 1 when I started shooting. I'm always thinking about the edit. Joe and I are very much along the same page with that. Anyone who's making films should always be considering your edit when you shoot because it's the most important thing.
After we finished shooting, we had a team of 3 translators work through each interview. Once the translators gave us back a translated copy of each interview, me and Wyatt went through and picked out certain sound bits that fit our story. So we highlighted those in 3 different colors, which actually correspond to some of the sticky notes that we have up here on the wall. Blue represented Act 1 of our 3-act structure documentary, and then green was the 2nd act, and then red was the final act, Act 3. So from here, we translated what was on the wall into our computer, into our editing program. And then since we don't speak Chinese, we wanted to figure out what they were saying and when so we could get the timing correctly. So we spent all day yesterday writing subtitles for each clip.
When you get into post, everyone talks about it's stressful, it's hard, but it's also the most fun you'll have.
Iconic.
I think everyone should trust their editor. You shouldn't have to micromanage because then that doesn't allow them to really be an editor and add their voice into the project. But as far as being hands-on in the editing room, I think it's important for the director to be there while they're editing.
Maintaining integrity and ethics in documentary is the biggest part. For us to play judge, jury, and executioner, and just to have a story with better conflict, that can hurt an actual person. As filmmakers, it's our duty to understand that and to respect that.
With the information that we got, it does seem like we have a movie here.
I really like editing. I can just sit there for hours and do it. Especially in the process, when I start a project, I'm editing it. It's really all I think about.
I'm happy where we are at right now, but we have a lot of work to do still.
We have like 12 hours of footage, something like that. We got these. These are helping a lot.
Graham actually made these. He wrote out clip number, time code, scene description, and notes and structure.
We're gonna be taking shifts.
I want to let him lay out his structure.
He has this vision in his head for what this movie should look like, and I think all of us here are trying to support that vision.
And then I can come in with just my knowledge. 3 frames here, or, maybe switch these 2 clips kind of thing to help the story flow better. I knew he had such a strong concept for his story and for his vision, and I understood the vision and I understood the story. I was a little worried about piecing together the footage, but now that he's got it going, I have a general idea of how he wants it to be, and and the pacing and the style.
The essence of the story is the two girls are two subjects, and how, despite their difficult circumstances, they're still succeeding. Our story arc so far is building down from these possible parental figures in their life, and we get closer and closer to how they actually feel, and we're actually able to hear what the kids really think.
I think it's looking really, really good. It's very satisfying to see, 5 days of running around fooling pay off in such a beautiful way.
I think we're on track to finish on time. We might kind of be like rolling in to the deadline pretty quickly, but we have so many hours to finish this thing, it's gonna get done.
Did you ruin the order? I did. I took a picture. You sure about that? Yeah, the pause. Yeah, it's from the new stuff.
My editor's Layla right here. And she's just been like going at it, going through all our footage. She's been organizing after bin of like just literally so specific just to make sure that we know what we're doing and where to grab certain footage. She knows how to edit pretty fast, but also still like make sure that the cuts look good and really clean.
Editing is actually going pretty well. I would say it's a little stressful only because that they went to go interview the father yesterday, so that's like more footage, more translations, and the rough cut is due tonight, which is Thursday. I think it's Thursday. I'm losing track of time because I'm like up all night.
Post is always stressful because everybody wants to make sure that their film comes out perfect or as great as they want it to be.
I have more than enough footage. I have about, I want to say like 600 clips. Lyndon made the storyboard.
She literally drew like out these beautiful shots of exactly what I wanted.
So it's a little bit easier to kind of get my shots in.
Visual metaphors are the biggest thing here. It's going to have elements of poetic documentary filmmaking, but mostly observational. It's using composition to just tell that story, but not just tell it, show it.
The whole story is basically about the mother, the daughter, and the father coming together to make tea, like in harmony. They're all different, but they all come together to make tea. It's more like simple, delicate, slow.
It's very natural interaction. We're letting them be who they are so we can see exactly what's going on here, what kind of people they are, how they're interacting. So I'm really excited to see the final product.
会跟我爸说这个事情的，沟通这个事情。
What is in your mind? So what is your story?
As I was editing it, I felt like the stories of these two people were more and more disconnected.
So how you define the appetite?
For this, it's kind of the drive to succeed in their respective businesses while staying true to themselves.
And appetite is their dream. Alright, good job. Overall, this is too much talking height. I want you to look at your their challenges in the modern time. Where did you prepare this shot?
We did that today. Magic.
Oh, we did
Movie
just
magic
for
movie.
you.
我外婆对我比
对他的孙女孩要好。
The whole beginning sequence is so rough because we had to go back and interview the principal and we had to redo the translations.
Yeah.
When we transition from these scenes, these potential like parental figures in these kids' lives, like the principal, the opera teacher, there's kind of, it picks up each time, you know, using B-roll and music and things like that.
Throughout the story, I want to have a little arc. That's what I think is missing. There's sound or no?
There's no sound.
Not yet.
That's a nice shot.
So our story is about her and how she is running her family business, her tea business, and the tea is the medium.
The way we went about shooting was a lot more observational
It is, yeah.
than intently poetic.
Totally.
All right. No matter what, they all love tea, but they have the metaphor, the tea always going through.
The second and third week of the course has been extremely exhausting.
That was like when he was talking about the old technology blending with the new.
So we decided to keep subtitles, and that way it's like consistent throughout as well.
But the second and third week, it was up to us to do our scheduling and planning and figure out what our documentary was going to be about. So it was exhausting in kind of a different way. I think we were just more mentally and creatively exhausted.
Really adventurous one. Which way do we have to go? We go that way? Okay.
Yeah, wait, where is everybody? Did they go down?
No, they go up.
Not even halfway, I don't think.
I've never been outside.
We're walking around a mountain, and it's raining. It's awesome. A lot of talking, though. It's not quiet like in California when you go outside. A lot of yelling and all that stuff, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it, and I'm soaking wet.
Exactly like the photos. It's amazing. Rain and all. Just waiting for the fog that's so thick that you can't see like 5 feet in front of you.
I am at Mount Huangshan, and it's super rainy. Can't see anything, but it's a great time.
It's wet. It's wet, and it's not. It's cooler here, which is nice, but
But it's also wet.
yeah, it's wet.
Yeah.
And like the food's.
Bring snacks and water because it's expensive up here, but it's nice. Oh my god, Oreo. I can grab it. Ah, no, it's not open all the way.
I felt a little delirious the whole time just because, you know, I was tired and thirsty and hungry, but it made for a better experience. I feel like my mind just kind of was able to wander and just, you know, take in everything. I'm really happy we came.
It was really tiring, but I think it was well worth it.
especially since the heat got to me this past week, but feeling this cold air reminds me of home. The climbing the stairs though, it was a bit much, but you know, I got in my exercise. I lost all that weight that I ate this past 3 weeks, so I feel good.
I loved it, man. It was great. I thought it was pretty rad. Like, even though we couldn't see the view, like, the fog just made everything super pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a lot of good
You really
pictures.
take in the small details rather than like the big picture.
Yeah. Got a lot of cool pictures and like tunnels and stuff. It's pretty cool.
It was a beautiful hike, but it was exhausting, and we're all very tired from like editing all week, but it was worth it. We have to go back to editing tonight. It's not gonna be that much fun, but it's fine, yeah.
Once you're in your hotel room, just staring at a laptop screen for like 10 hours on end, I think you definitely need the fresh air and the beautiful scenery to kind of just, you know, bring you back and, you know, give you that open mind that you need to get back and start working.
我叫汪自立，徽州人，一直在从事着汪一挑馄饨的这个经营。
我叫李艳，是我们这个家族是国家级非物质文化遗产张一天内科疗法的第14代传承人。
站好了，好了吗？能过来合一遍吗？
我叫吴兆官，我出生在这个罗盘制作世家，就是第1代创始人这个吴国柱，也就是他当时创立了吴路横罗金店，并且一直延续到今天，将近300年的历史。我们每一代都是父子相传，传到我这里已经是第8代了，那么有这个责任和义务去继承这个行业。
你要想，中国有几十年是独生子的，这个独生子里面有多少人家只有女儿？如果你只认准了传媳妇不传女儿，传儿不传女嘛，那该断了多少东西了？
我想把我们张一天的一个学术思想传授给更多的愿意学习的人，也会用这个学术思想来治疗很多的一些疾病。
有一句话说叫什么？存在的就是合理的。如果他用他那种方式还能存在，我觉得他应该是有他的合理性。那么我呢是希望我死了以后，汪一挑还能存在。只要你愿意，只要你需要到我都可以。
亲爱的爸爸妈妈，你们好！我已经挺久没见到你们了，我很想念你们，相信你们也时时刻刻挂念着我。
有的时候嘛，有时间嘛就回来一下，没有时间嘛就一年到头到过年的时候再回来。
我妈妈就这样说，让我几个月她就出去打工，然后就让我把我交给外婆抚养。
我们学校有一部分孩子，他们的家长都外出打工。
到点了吗？你们？
那么这些留守儿童呢，他最大的困难呢，就是学习啊、心理上面的这个困难。所以我们学校呢，就通过开展各种活动，通过老师的帮扶，
每一个礼拜呢去教育2节课，就是半天的时间，这样子教他们徽剧的知识。好，这个刀法呢就是唱这样。
爸爸妈妈，光阴似箭，日月如梭，我马上就要考试了，我会好好复习，考出好成绩，争取拿到远方奖学金。爸爸，一家人都很好，你一定要多注意身体，少喝点酒。妈妈，你还好吗？工作再忙也要注意身体。爱你们的女儿，玄景，2018年6月23日。
It's like every girl has a beautiful dream in young. And I'm trying to bring this dream to reality, thinking, okay, just to make a store, make a shop, so I can do some business, I can grow myself. So that's the first idea of opening a shop.
我现在也在努力的坚持着，我不知道会不会到哪一天我也坚持不住。我担心他的是什么？就是他会离传统越来越远。
But I would say passion and anxiety is just like the two sides of coin. So once you have passion, and definitely you have anxiety. The only thing you meet yourself is being calm down first, and then you think why you do it.
我每每想起我父亲躺在我怀里安详地走掉的时候，我觉得他已经认可了。所以，我现在心安理得地认为，我做的弯腰其实并没有把挑子反弹。
Be yourself and do whatever you like, but the one thing you have to keep in mind is you have your own responsibility.
如果能够出现一个我认为可以被称之为混沌匠的人，而且他又愿意来传承我们这个东西的，我很乐意去做这件事，谁都可以。
And in the end of the world, we are not living in a dream. And if you want to have a dream, you have to wake up. But the only things I have now is just to keep in your heart. Do whatever you do, just do good, not do bad. So that's the dream.
我叫刘文倩，新徽州人，然后现在主要从事的是茶叶的种植，还有销售。然后主要做的茶的话是吴公岭白茶和孙一顺安茶，是我们黄山本地比较小众的2款茶。
过去这个地方农民的收入啊，他的每亩地啊只有2000块钱。从此以后，我们种好我们白茶给到他以后呢，他的收入是1万多。
可能我觉得茶的魅力在于它
是一个媒介，是一个让人与人之间沟通的手段。
人有性格、脾气，茶同样有。我觉得我与安茶的共同点的话，可能就是安茶是一个上来不会给你特别强烈的一种茶，我需要一个时间的慢慢相处，可能你才能真正了解我的脾气性格，我这个人。安茶呢也是，可能从我的角度来说，刚接手这个事情的时候，我有一点抗拒，有一些压力，但是慢慢的把它做起来以后，真正的深入到它这个环境当中以后，我觉得我还是很喜欢这个茶的。
女儿呢，就是根据她自己情况，她喜欢哪一块，她可以去做，也可以去另外自己再去开辟一个天地。我相信她开辟一个天地的话，也是肯定跟茶有关的。
人生本来就很短，你是为了生活而奔波，还是为了怎么样？但是我觉得在这短暂的人生当中，开心就好。
I was really happy with the end product. I think it's just incredible what we can do with, just a camera and some sound equipment. I really enjoyed seeing how we progressed from beginning to end.
We realize this opportunity isn't going to come again. You just feel grateful that you could experience a different lifestyle than your own.
Everybody we've talked to, everybody we've come into contact or spent time with has just been some of the nicest, most genuine people I've ever met in my life. Just that alone has been completely life-changing and eye-opening.
People are always giving me like high fives. I feel part of the culture. I like it. I really like it. I want to come back.
I've been really happy to not only visit all the different places that we've gone on this trip, but to do so with my classmates.
China is a lot more welcoming than other places I've been to compared to Korea or Vietnam.
Being in China and being a filmmaker, that's helped me grow and it's helped increase my love for film even more.
I haven't been able to go to China before, and especially these ancient villages where they have different types of lifestyles, and I think that at the end of the day they're still very sweet people, and even with the language barrier they were so kind. I mean, all of their smiles were so contagious.
I'm learning how to adapt, I'm learning how to explore people and ideas that I've never even thought about.
China is full of wonderful people, full of loving people with amazing traditions, amazing culture, and values that seem to set a standard that America could really learn from.
I'm kind of sad to be leaving China. We've bonded so much over the past 3 weeks. In a regular classroom, you wouldn't have this experience.
I've learned priceless lessons on this trip. Whether this documentary has a life beyond this program or whatever happens, I'm taking these lessons with me through filmmaking and life and my interactions with people, It's been incredibly important.